So here we are in Pub Wisdom, freestyling with Freely. Welcome.
Thank you. I guess I got a drink.
That's how you do it, yeah. So, we're here to talk about dating life in our 40s.
Yeah.
And what it's like to start over and start dating again, and all the crazy stories that you come across and all the
it seems
people
like
out there.
Because of the pandemic, which is a word you can't use on YouTube, but we're going to. A lot of marriages, relationships didn't make it through.
Right. Yeah.
So we have more people our age, which is over 40, starting over. Mm-hmm. And where do you start over?
You basically have to go online and start dating on
Everyone
dating apps.
says you don't want to go on the dating apps, but then where do you meet someone if it's not a dating app?
Right.
So where did we meet, Jason?
We met on Facebook dating.
There you go.
And here we are, talking about it.
Here we are, a month later, talking about how we met.
Yeah, so it's a journey I've been on for a while now. I've been divorced for 5+ years now, and kind of off and on dating, and it's just kind of one of those things. I was actually getting ready to kind of hang it up for a bit, and then you popped in. Matter of fact, when we're shooting the video with Comic Book Rob, I was upstairs talking with Rob, and that's when you chimed in, actually started talking. We actually talked on the phone the first time at that point.
That's right.
And when I talked to Rob the other day, he's like, Freely, he goes, is that the girl you were talking to? I was like, yeah. Yeah, that was the day we actually spoke on the phone for the first time. So that's always a tricky thing, too. As far as the guys go, I feel like I got to put 100 messages out there just to get one response back from any female. And if I get a response back, it's a very touchy thing, just through text alone, to get to the point where, here's my phone number, call me. And I don't know what that's like on the woman's side of things. I know it's a different story, but
see, I feel like on the women's side of things, I get a lot of messages, but nobody wants to actually speak. And when they do, they want to message you. The single dads want to message you while they have their kids for the weekend because they're bored, or they're weak with their children, so they have adult contact. And then the moment they don't have their kids around, they're off with their buddies at the bar, going to the Red Wings game, playing hockey.
Never do that. No.
Doing something other than spending time with the person you were getting to know the week you had your kids. So now I have made a rule, getting to know someone. I will not talk to you the week you have your kids. If we haven't met yet, if we haven't hung out, no.
So you set your own personal boundary as, okay, that person has their kids this time, or in this time frame, I will not be much contact to them, and you want their attention when they're not with the
Which you were
kids.
very different. You wanted to meet right away, which I loved. I absolutely loved that you were like, all right, let's get this out of the way. Yes, you can have all the connections in the world over the phone. Mm-hmm. Face to face, it's different.
Yeah.
How many times have you been catfished?
Only a few times.
Okay. One is too many.
Yeah. and that's a deception thing, too. And then I think that's the thing that women are much better at than men.
Is catfishing someone?
Deceiving with photos, right? So women know how to take photos so they look cute, and then there's filters and things like that I'm just not even aware of. But you can tell when you're looking at a photo, it's like, oh, that's a filter, and some aren't. And but yeah, and women, I think, are much better at presenting themselves in photos to men, and men are just like, hey, here's a fish I caught, here's me with a deer I killed.
My question is, why does every man have a photo with a fish?
It's something they're proud of, I guess. I'm not a fisherman, so I didn't have that.
Yeah, that's a red flag for me. And that's another thing, red flags. Red flags at our age. I think there's too many. I know that.
Well, I hate to say it, but we're kind of dating in a used car market.
I know.
We all have our baggage. We all have our mileage.
It's like I'm trying to find the green flags in people instead of the red flags. But after...
Keep talking. There's one picture I want to look up as you're talking.
After 40 years, I think your brain is programmed to catch those red flags.
I think so too. you're more attuned to things you've been through, problems you've had with people you've dated in the past. You're very in tune to that kind of thing. This was it. This was my dating profile. So I had my white girl trap with pumpkin spice lattes and White Claws under a rudimentary box and stick with me on the porch. And of course, Cabo in the window too. But
yeah, that just...
I've gotten a few laughs out of that.
It drew me right in.
And I pulled the stick and I caught her.
I was like my type of guy there. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't do things the normal way, and it's kind of just been the way of my life. I've always looked at the normal things and go, I don't like that, and I try to do something a little bit different, throw my own twist on things, and I think that does show through a little bit in some of the pictures I put up for dating apps and things like that. But the responses I get from women are so limited, and the feedback I get is so limited, and it's another thing I tend to work off of is a feedback loop. If I don't know I'm doing something wrong, how am I gonna know unless someone tells me? And I try not to go through life interacting with people in bad ways, but you're gonna rub someone the wrong way all the time, or once in a while, and you can't make everyone happy all the time. But all you can do is be the best person you can be, and then eventually find someone else that you kind of vibe with and get along with in that way.
But then when you do vibe with someone, then you have to take their whole lifestyle into consideration. You and I are in two totally different... I've already raised my children.
Mm-hmm, I've got young ones.
Yes, yours are very young, elementary age. Mine are
grown
out of the house. Military, out of the house, college, gone. Yeah, I'm a grandmother. So, 3-year-old granddaughter.
Got to slip in that line from the 40-year-old version. Yeah, it's a hot grandma.
Thanks.
Nope, no problem. Compliments should be handed out more often, I'd say.
There you go. I'm a gilf, right?
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Yep. So, yep, my son went ahead and made me a grandmother 3 years ago.
Darn him. What was he thinking?
I know. And then,
anyway.
Yeah.
Back to dating in our 40s.
Right.
So that actually is something I've come across a few times. And these women they started young. There's no problem with that. In fact, I think there's good things about starting young with children. I think you start in your 20s, you have the energy to keep up with those kids. Mm-hmm. Myself and my ex-wife, we decided to have kids very late, and that was our decision. I think maturity-wise, we were ready, sort of, mm-hmm. And I think more ready than that we definitely would have been in our 20s. And I think that's helpful, and I think that sometimes relays well to your children, because my children I've had many return compliments about how well spoken they are at a very young age. I mean, we didn't do baby talk and stuff like that, but talk to them like they're adults, and they communicate like adults, with some goofy exceptions every now and then. But the difference I've gotten into is other women I've dated around about my age. It's like, once again, their kids are growing out of the house, but I think a lot of those women had aspirations to be, I'm Florida bound soon. And I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. My kids are in the school district here. I'm trying to keep them in the school district. I don't want to move them around. I have ties with their mother. Can't do that. So I had to kind of amicably end things, and that's okay. And I'm okay with that. That's fine. It's just we're in two different places, and that's what we had to do. And so, I mean, that's been some of my experiences, I guess, with online dating and meeting women that way. But it's like so much effort on the men's side of things, and I've often thought that women get all the choice because they usually get a lot of guys coming in after them, and they have to sort through all the messages and they have to choose who they talk to, and then they get to select that way. Where guys, it's just like constantly putting stuff out there and not getting anything in return. It's a little different.
So I shouldn't feel special.
No, I'm selective.
You had limited choice, and I just happened to message you.
You messaged me back. Well, to be in all honesty, I was actually talking about two others at that time, and And once you and I started talking, I kind of put the pause on them and said, listen, I found someone I met. I want to give her a chance. And just kind of left it at that. And I try to cover all my grounds and just not burn bridges and not ghost and stuff like what you hear about people do and how horrible that is. And you hear how people feel when I was talking to someone, everything was going great, and all of a sudden nothing. And it's like, you're left with like, well, what happens? What do you do? Or what's going on? Or what did I do? And once again, me looking for feedback. What did I do? And that's happened with me too. You get something going, whether you're texting and it seems really good, and it's just nothing. And you just disappear, and you're like, what the heck? So I don't know what goes on there either. So there's a lot of unknowns. And I think you and I just kind of hit it off pretty quickly. And
yeah, we have quite a bit in common.
Our sarcastic attitude.
Yeah. Yeah, we both like this kind of nerdy stuff.
Yeah. And you've actually have a background in radio, which I thought was very interesting. And you've given me a lot of pointers on this already, which, look, the microphone returned. I mean, she's helping me with sound. I've been requesting a sound person, so I might actually have one now. Freely might be part of the show. You might be one of my irregular regulars.
There you go. I wouldn't mind that. Yes, did radio for 3 years. Number one show in Detroit. Wasn't a great time slot. Before our time slot, we were number one. So it was good.
And if I dial the clock back to that time frame, may have possibly even intersected at points. Even though I grew up like way south of Detroit, but did make it up here occasionally for some of the parties and stuff that the radio shows that put on.
Yeah, we would promote at Clutch Cargo's a lot. And so if you're over there, maybe.
Once or twice. And Anyway. The younger days. I don't party like that anymore. Just, I don't know. I like to have just a beer or two here and there.
So I'm recently single. When I say recently, it is out of a 10-year relationship, and left that relationship in June. So you are...
So less than a year.
Less than a year, and you are how far into your divorce? 5 years?
5 years, yeah.
5 years. Does it make you nervous for starting to date someone that's newly single?
A little bit, because we've talked about this before. It took me a good full year to start being myself again before I even considered dating anybody at that point. And I wanted to work on myself. I wanted to kind of make sure I was good, because I truly feel that you cannot be happy with someone else until you're happy with yourself first.
Yeah.
So my concern with you is it's kind of fresh with you, but I don't know, maybe you made up your mind a long time ago, ahead of time, and you just had the courage to kind of pull through and do this now. But there's a lot of things to consider. I mean, like, are you happy with yourself? Are you happy with the life you've chosen? Has this break been good for you?
Absolutely. I think probably my marriage was over far before I left. Mm-hmm. You know, worked separate shifts and saw each other literally one day a week for years. Haven't slept in the same bed for years because of his schedule. So
it's a long time to wither away.
It is. So I felt like I was single for years. Hence, after the pandemic, you just look at life differently.
That certainly changed a lot of things for a lot of people. Yeah.
You know, I have a friend that was married for over 20 years. Her husband got COVID, got put on a ventilator. The moment he got off that ventilator, he asked for a divorce. He realized that this is not what he wanted with his life. And that he almost lost his life. He realized he wanted different.
Wow.
And that's what happened to a lot of people.
So I'm guessing in their 40s too, or
50s.
50s.
And she's starting all over.
So there's one thing I've been wondering even about myself, and I don't know if I ever really went through the midlife crisis kind of phase where I gotta have a Corvette, gotta have myself a young woman, gotta blah blah blah. I never really went through that, but I'm wondering if I'm doing that now, because I'm starting to reflect a lot more on my life. I haven't been feeling the energy levels I used to. And is it just because I'm in my 40s and I'm not in my 20s anymore? My brain still thinks I can do that, my body can't. Or or is there something else going on? And I don't know, but all I do know is I'm relatively happy with everything I've got going on. But it just seems like I just need to get something more going. Maybe it's part of the reason I started the podcast. It's like one of the things I want to do is, like I've said before in the podcast, I've met a lot of really cool people, and a lot of those cool people were met at the bar, and so those are the people I'm inviting on here, and people I've met out and about, and I think I love that learning experience, learning about new people and their lives and stuff like that, and maybe I'll get a race car someday. I don't know, but
I think you might be going through a little midlife crisis right now because you're like Tesla.
Well, I've been about that for a long time, and I've notorious for taking a very long time to select my next vehicle, like years even. Opportunity was almost there. It was on the tip of my. I was right there, but like, you know what? Then I got to get a house, and then that money and everything went toward that. So I got backburnered, and that's just being responsible in life. But,
yeah.
So I could have went crazy, just bought me a fast car and stuck it out in the old house, but
you are definitely saving money by not heating your home. It is really cold here.
I'm very hot natured. I'm actually but no, and you're very cold natured, so that's probably one major difference between us. Your house is cranked to 80 degrees. I'm like, got palm trees in here.
I am very accommodating though. I just get out the electric blanket, turn the heat down for you, and put on more clothes and
so
heating blanket for me. Yeah.
Well, where else do you want to go with? I mean, what kind of experiences have you had dating, or have you had many experiences?
Oh boy.
Like,
I don't know if
tell me some bad ones. Tell me more of the juicy details of some of the, well, not juicy details. Well, just tell me bad experiences. Let's just kind of lay one out.
Okay.
What you got? Good story.
All right. There are some bad ones, and the ones that I want to tell, I'm so afraid that little kids will be listening. So
this is not on YouTube Kids or anything like that.
Okay. Well, let's start with.
Let's keep it PG-13. Try that.
Okay. So then we won't talk about the other one. How about, I have 2 young adult daughters who I always worry about constantly and tell them, don't get into strangers' cars. You tell them all the good stuff, right? I should take my own advice.
Uh-oh.
Because met someone online, he wants to pick me up. For some reason, I allow it. I allow it. I get in the stranger's car. We are probably a few blocks from my house, and we get pulled over. They pull him out of the car, and he's with the police for a little while. The police officer comes around to my side, asks me for my ID and stuff, asks me how I know this gentleman, and I tell him it's first date, met him online. The cop's advice was probably shouldn't have been alone in a car with him. They couldn't tell me what he was being arrested for, and they offered to drive me home.
Whoa.
Yeah. Gotta drive home.
If that red flag didn't smack you in the face.
Right. Immediately blocked his number.
Oof. Wow, that's just scary.
And never got into a car with someone again like that.
And it's creeps like that make me worry. And I had you make your own drink for that reason. And when I had Raina on here, I actually went and brought her, she had a beer. I brought it down, I left the cap on. I'm like, just so she could open it and I could see her. Because they freak out. It's like, what if someone thinks that I'm trying to drug them or something like that? I'm like,
yeah,
holy crap, I don't want that. And that's kind of a weird panic of mine. But again, even like my ex-wife go out with her friends, like, please don't let people buy you drinks. I mean, I know how you get kind of crazy. Just be careful, because I know there's creeps out there. I know they're few and far in between, but they make a bad name for the rest of us. Yeah. And it really kind of sucks. And puts women on guard, which makes it very difficult for them
and women
to approach
think
them.
that putting a napkin over your drink and going to the bathroom saves you.
Magically prevents that.
Yeah, it is just a force field, a barrier. No. What's stopping them from dropping something and putting the napkin back on?
Right. Well, they warn the bartender. The bartender could sometimes keep an eye on it, or if they have a friend. Yeah, I always have a friend there watching it for them.
I was drugged one time, and it's scary. You lose time. It's scary.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have daughters. I want them to not have to go through anything like that. And it's unfortunate. It seems like my daughters like to learn things the hard way too. It's like I can explain something to be safe 100 different ways, and then they go bump, hurt themselves. Like, see, what'd I say? So that kind of scares me, and it's one of the things probably why this beard has gotten so white having children like that. But
do you find yourself comparing women that you date now, to your ex-wife? Because you were married for how long?
I was married 10 years with her 15. I don't compare. No, because I mean, it's human nature to make comparisons to someone you're with versus someone you've been with, but try not to let that get in the way and interfere with who you are with. Try to come away with a lot of lessons learned.
Because you know what you don't want now.
I know what I don't want. I know things that work, and I'm still learning things that work. Try to be a work in progress. Yeah, it's very difficult. Because you have a history with someone, and if you're with someone that long, there's obviously some good stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, you would like to have that again, but it's like it's not feasible with another person unless you find someone exactly like that. And then, well, what if you find someone exactly like that? or you can go through the same cycle over again. So live and learn. And I've always had a motive, even before I got into like Stoic philosophy, of trying not to live life with a lot of regrets, but living life with learning from everything I've experienced. Good, the bad, different. Just learn from those experiences and move forward with it, and try to do better next time if the opportunity arises. And I think I'm doing okay. You don't know me from past history, but you know me who I am now, right?
Yeah.
And I think most of my friends will say I was always a pretty good person, but I try to refine that, try to keep that going. And also sometimes puts me at a disadvantage. I worry about like women freaking out for me being some sort of creep because I'm nice.
Who said you were nice?
I try to be nice. Camera's running. When the camera's off, I'm like, "Rah, fucker." Now, I don't know. You just knocked me off track.
That's what I'm here for.
Time for a beer. So who's interviewing who?
I just have the questions.
It's kind of first dates are kind of like interviews anyway, right?
Yeah, I hate that.
You're trying to get to know people, and you're trying to sort some things out. And I think in your 40s, you want to work a lot of that crap out fast. And I think you want to get to a point where it's okay. Let's try to see where we match and where we don't match, and okay, what are your hang-ups? And you're almost kind of like digging in and trying to find out what people's hang-ups are. And
yeah, I got a lot of slack about my dating profile because it was a lot of what I didn't want. I didn't want someone to text me endlessly. I got a lot.
Yeah, you put that right out front, right?
Yeah. Things like that.
No endless texts. Yeah.
I didn't want someone to just use me to fill gaps in their time. Things like that. And I did get a lot of messages saying, well, we know what you don't want. What are you looking for? I don't know what I'm looking for. Honestly, I don't. I want happiness. That's it. And if someone fits into my life and I fit into theirs and we're happy, then that's what it is. I don't think it should be a lot of work. I don't.
I think if it's the right match, it's probably not a lot of work. Well, we'll let you know when we figure it out.
Yeah, we're figuring it out.
But yeah, it's and like I said, it's I see a lot of people who look for happiness in others. Like they go from, I see a lot of women, and maybe it's just my point of view or observational point, but a lot of women just jump from man to man to man. And it's like, they're very unhappy if they're at all in between men. But if they're with a guy, they're like happy as can be, and then all of a sudden he turns out to be a jerk. And then they're very unhappy, and then they swing it right over to somebody else. It's like, wow, take a break, discover yourself for a while, find out what you like, and be happy with yourself before you find that next guy or whatever. And I think a lot of those women are usually very attractive too, and the guys flock to them, and so it's very easy for them to go from guy to guy to guy. And I think they don't spend enough time figuring out who they are and what they like and what they want in life. And it's just an observation I've had just from being the person I am and observing life for so long.
Another issue I seem to be having is I'm so tall. Can't tell because I'm sitting down.
You are tall.
But when I wear heels, I'm over 6 foot. So
a lot of men lack confidence.
They do.
And that'll show. And that'll expose that very quickly.
But the thing is, men want the models. Models are 5'10". Supermodels start at 5'9", 5'10". Not that I'm saying I'm a supermodel, but I have the measurements of a supermodel.
Models tend to be very tall, yes.
Yeah, and men are very intimidated by that. And even other women. To be totally honest, when I walk into a women's bathroom in a bar, I've been called a transvestite more than once.
You're in a rare percentile of height.
Yeah.
You're probably in the upper 15 percentile of women. I think the average height of women in the U.S. is something like between 5'4" and 5'5", something like that. And the average height of men is between 5'8" and 5'10" in the U.S.
Well, my grandma was 6'2".
Wow.
Yeah.
I have a cousin who's over 6 foot. I'll have to introduce you to her sometimes.
I would love it.
So you can look up to somebody.
Exactly. But I'll have my heels on so we can be eye to eye. Yippers.
So, yeah, I think your height would definitely expose someone's, a man's frailty, a man's low confidence. And from what I understand, I think women are far more attracted to confidence than they are in general looks. So, and maybe you can confirm this for me. My observations have shown that sometimes you see a guy who's like, if you're doing like the 1 out of 10 scale, a guy's like a 6 or a 7 on the 10 scale, and he's dating someone who's a 9 or a 10. It's like, wow, he's really dating up. And then you talk to her, and she's like really happy with the guy. Try to figure out what's going on. It's like, the guy's just got a lot of confidence, and he's secure, and maybe he can provide for her, and so that's all she really wants and needs. And you talk to her, it's like, oh, I never would have thought I would ever dated a guy like him. And really, because what the kinds of guys were you going after before that? Guys that were just more attractive and
meatheads.
Yeah, meatheads.
Meatheads.
Yeah.
My soon-to-be ex-husband, meathead.
So yeah, and I think as much as women complain about men being attracted only to physical looks, women do it too. Like, you talk about women, you ask a woman what they want. Sense of humor usually ranks one of the highest.
Yeah. Sense
of humor comes from, in my opinion, 2 different things: intelligence and just good observation skills, and be able to make that quick and witty kind of humor. And that also shows good confidence, right? If guys can crack a joke and not be afraid of the consequences, because most jokes, let's face it, are quite divisive, right? And someone cracks a joke and it's half the people are really upset, the other half are laughing. I don't care about the people that are upset. I only said that for the people that are laughing, including myself, right? And that shows confidence. And I think that's what women find attractive and all that.
Definitely.
Yeah. But if you got a guy who looks like Chris Hemsworth, but he's like a total simp of a dude.
So I've been married more than once, and my previous husband, he looked more like Chris Farley.
Okay.
Yeah, and he had the personality.
Did you live in a van down by the river?
No. But he made me laugh so hard every single day that was so attractive.
I think I made my point.
Yeah. Husband after that, gorgeous meathead.
No sense of humor.
Never laughed once.
So you swung from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
Probably in the wrong direction, if I had to say so. But I don't know. I don't know what I look like in terms of... Because I think women don't give compliments as much as men do.
You don't think I compliment you?
No, you do.
Daily, I do.
No, you have. In general, though. In general, like, I don't know where I rank. I don't know if you give me a...
Well,
who ranks me on a... what do I look like on a 1 to 10 scale?
Where does Russell Crowe rank?
Depends which one, doesn't it? Is it Fat Santa Claus Russell Crowe or is it Gladiator Russell Crowe? Are you not entertained?
I think you're a happy middle. Because you have the broad shoulders and very muscular, but you have the white, distinguished beard, much like Cabo.
Yeah, he's definitely a silver fox.
He is handsome little man.
He's a good boy, yeah, and he's always been a little bit of a ladies' man too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, he ran up to me the other day and just planted a kiss on me.
Trampled my daughter in the process.
Yes. Ran right at, didn't know what he was thinking, but yeah.
Tries to steal a woman. He's guilty.
Bring my dog over for him.
Yeah. He needs a girlfriend.
There you go.
We need a doggy dating app.
Yeah.
That might be something. People with dogs and dating.
Yeah, that would be a good, like,
female with a male dog looking for a male with a female dog.
Yeah.
That might get real specific though.
Meeting in a dog park. Who really does that? Who meets at dog parks? Who meets at grocery stores? Who does that?
All the advice that people give you. Yeah. Meeting at churches and grocery stores and stuff like that. I've tried approaching people like that. It's not easy.
And what would be your opening line? Tell me.
I got to do something observational, something that's there and in the moment. Like if they're picking up something like, oh, you don't want that, and you just kind of have just something quippy. It's like, oh, I had that one time, got really sick. You don't want that at all. It's just
try to start a conversation.
Yeah, but just something quippy, but in the moment, and no opening lines, nothing like that. And it might be because grocery stores, sometimes you have the opportunity to continuously pass by someone. Mm-hmm. If you try to weave the lanes and go up and down each lane, and sometimes you get a little something going there. But I just never been able to get any further than just a few jokes and maybe just chatting up in the line. But that's about it.
How about meeting someone at work?
I, as a rule, would not do that. Because if you're dating someone at work that you met at work and then all of a sudden it doesn't go right, then you still got to work with the person and just never know how that goes, right?
But what if you met them, not that they work with you, but kind of like I deal with a lot of vendors and things like that at my job, and dating that way.
That's a customer. I think that would be different. I would be okay with that because you're not going in daily with that person, right? You're not going in the daily drive in and leaving at the same time. You're not daily interacting with that person. No, I think that would be a different scenario. That you've got that opportunity, but you got probably a lot of contractor dudes coming in. I do.
I get a lot of contractors coming in daily. I don't think I would date any of them.
No lumberjack types. I mean, manly men that work with their hands.
No, I hear how they speak about women. No, thank you. But does that stop them from asking me out? No. They sit there and belittle women, and in the next breath going, what are you doing for dinner tonight, really?
That's that might be borderline. Okay, that might gauge onto what we talked about masculinity and what's toxic and what's not. And I very much make the distinction on toxic masculinity is not true masculinity. It's something that's masking itself as that alpha male confidence. And if you're putting people down, that's not confidence. If you're true alpha and you have that kind of confidence, you're not putting people down. You're actually trying to help them out and get them to be better. You're trying to make everyone else around you better. You're not going to sit there and put people down and then, like, especially women, put a woman down and then hit on one right in front of the other. It's like, wow, that is just ignorance and arrogance and ignorance, and those things go hand in hand, and it's not masculinity. Someone who's truly masculine is not going to make those moves. That's my opinion. But I think that's more of a correct way of looking at it. To try to write something off as, masculinity is just toxic. No, it's not. It's not digital like that. You're seeing false forms, and I think there's a lot of adult age adolescents that just don't grow up. There's adult age males. They try to act big and tough and strong, run their mouth, make themselves cut others down to make themselves look better, but they're nothing more than a teenager in their mindset.
Oh yeah.
And they don't grow up. And unfortunately, I think we need to have men punch men in each other's faces a little bit more. Really do. And
I'll volunteer. I'll punch someone in the face.
You threatened me many times. I don't know why.
Don't.
She beats me.
I just bite.
That too. Ouch. Scars.
It was your fault for pulling away so quickly.
All right, this is sounding a little different.
It was in the arm.
Just to be clear.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. How about them Red Wings? No. Any comments on masculine men and anything like that, or
no?
Any thoughts on that?
No.
No. None.
No.
I'm trying to take a big drink here. You got to fill the time, like.
You gotta edit all this part out.
Cut dead air out. That takes a lot of time in editing. You have to just let it flow. You want to take a break right now?
Yep.
We should take a break. All right.
Should take a break.
You know, when I'm out and about at the pubs, people often compare me to Russell Crowe, which at first sounds flattering, but then I start to think, which version of Russell Crowe? You decide, people.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? We're getting hammered like a rebel fight. And nothing matters, all we are is getting hammered. Everybody getting hammered tonight.
Welcome back. We're going to talk Irrational Fears. You have many.
I do have many.
What's one of them?
Oh, jeez, don't do this to me.
Well, we talked about Murphy beds and getting stuck in one. Don't want to talk about that one. I mean, what's the likelihood of that happening?
Well, it's happened.
Just once?
Yeah. Well, no, it was like
someone you know?
No, it was Crazy Ways to Die or something like that. It was a video. And two women got sucked up in a Murphy bed, and he wants to put a Murphy bed in here and put his parents in it. And I'm telling him it's not a great idea.
I'm not trying to kill you, Mom and Dan.
I'm trying to save you, new future mom and dad-in-law. Not making get stuck in a Murphy bed.
I think irrational fears are something that can stifle you from doing anything. And I think it's also a way of just excusing yourself from something. Like, no, never going to do that because, you know, for me it's sharks, right? like check a pool. There's a shark in there.
Going back to dating, do you find it weird because it's a new phenomenon, especially with women in their 40s? True crime.
Oh yeah,
like we're obsessed.
Women are obsessed with true crime documentaries, not psychos, but serial killer documentaries.
Oh yeah,
and shows like what's the Dexter?
But then it's a red flag. It's like I see that in everybody. Like I look at you and I'm like, how can he kill me?
And again, it's like that's another thing where nice guys have to navigate, right?
I go to sleep at night listening to true crime podcasts. It relaxes me. And a lot of people
Why
are
is
like,
that relaxing?
And you want to know, I don't think it's
It's
so
almost
much,
always about killing women too, right? I mean,
yeah, so it's not so
what is that?
much the actual story. I think it's just the monotone voice is the stories being told. If you want to break it down, I think that's why women really like listening to it, is the monotone voice. Because if you listen to Dateline, those men are hot.
Really?
Yeah, they're hot with hot voices.
Monotone voices are
Oh,
really hot.
yeah.
So I should start talking with a lot more monotone.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I can do that. I've got the opposite of a poker face, and I tend to laugh a bit too much.
But then I become paranoid because I do live alone since my children are all grown, and I'm afraid every night that someone's going to break in and murder me with a hammer. Because right now I'm listening to something where some people were killed with a hammer. So yeah,
Irrational Fears. Go figure.
there you go.
Inspired by something you're actually interested in.
Yes.
Weird. Don't get it. I saw Jaws at a young age, and I don't like sharks to this day.
I don't think anyone really likes sharks.
There's people that get in the water with them. I mean, what are they thinking?
They're not petting them.
Yeah.
They're not naming them and taking
Yeah.
them home on a leash.
You watch one thing on Facebook, and your whole feed will be like sharks, 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 sharks. Screw you, Facebook.
We can just mention something and it comes up on recommended.
True. Yeah. How's that happen? Algorithms. I don't know.
Algorithm.
They're listening. They're listening on your phones too. We have to get rid of all digital media.
Yeah. Every single time you leave the room, I'm talking to your phone. Freely needs a new Louis Vuitton.
That's how those commercials keep popping up, man.
When I first met your girls, the little one says, I know big words. I know Gucci and Louis Vuitton. I'm like, we're going to get along just fine.
Well, she knows what expensive is.
And I love her for that.
That is actually a funny trait, because like anytime I've ever looked at, like, if I want to buy some jewelry or anything like that, it's like I look at a whole selection. I end up picking out, that one looks really nice. Most expensive one, hands down. Like, damn it! Like, how do I do that? I don't know. I mean,
Because you have great taste.
Well, there it is.
Yeah.
Don't know how to deal with it. I don't know. Why do things like that have to be so expensive?
I don't know.
It's a rock. I don't know. Shiny things.
Going back to the little ones, when I met your girls, I said, I'm probably the coolest girl you'll ever meet. And what was your little one's response?
I have a mom.
You know I have a mom, right? Yeah, very well aware. Your mom's probably the coolest woman ever.
Well,
She gave birth to you, Lorelai. She's the coolest woman ever.
yeah. The reason why I've done all the videos with my daughters, partly because I've done video stuff in the past growing up, but they got locked in YouTube. But I've also thought my girls are actually quite funny. They're quick-witted. They say the funniest things. It's like, if I can just capture a little bit of that on video, it's just golden. And then in the end, it's always been just really about me making some memories with the girls, and that's what those videos have always been about. And they think they're getting YouTube famous and stuff. They love telling their friends they got a YouTube channel. But then my older one, who's 11 now, she's been getting teased by friends, which is like these little stinkers. It's like, oh yeah, well, how's their YouTube channel doing? Well, they don't have one. Like, no kidding. So they're being little critics at a young
if she
age.
really watches, like, I am heavy into YouTube. I watch so much of it. And a lot of the girls that are in their 20s that are now millionaires for being YouTubers, they were all made fun of. They were all made fun of in high school and junior high when they started their channels, 10, 15 years ago. They were made fun of and bullied. And those same people today are knocking on their doors asking for jobs.
How about that?
Yeah.
So I guess that's one of those things, or just follow your instincts and just keep going with it and just keep pushing. It's a pretty positive message overall.
That's the one thing I love about being older is I really don't care what people think anymore. Your opinion of me is none of my business.
You can't control it.
No.
You can only control how you react to it.
Exactly.
And then people that tend to be bullies tend not to bully you if they don't get a reaction out of you.
Exactly.
And I've tried to get that point across to my daughters a few times, but excuse me, it's going to take some time.
Well, I hope Lorelai doesn't lose her sass because
I do.
No, it's funny. It's funny. I know she told Johnny Pat she was eating the blood of her enemies.
Yeah, that was.
And then the first time I met her, she inspected my tattoos and said, "Do you like stars? Because I have many, many stars." Mm-hmm. And I said, "Yes, I do like stars." She goes, "How about hearts? Do you like hearts?" I said, "Yeah, but I don't have any heart tattoos." She goes, I can rip your heart out, right? Note taken, not a problem.
Little 40-pound kid.
Yeah, rip that heart right out.
Right before that, she told me something. She did something similar to me and said, "Yeah, Dad, I'll rip your eyes out and shove them down your stomach so you can see me rip out your guts." I'm like, "What?" I don't know. There's a darkness in that one.
I can honestly
we all go
say,
through dark phases, and I tend to treat it with a sense of humor and very lightheartedness, and maybe that might not be the right approach, but me as a dad, my biggest problem is I laugh too much, and that tends to encourage some of their not so good behaviors, and they do more of it. But quite honestly, we have the best conversations at dinner, and we laugh so much, and I think that's the best.
And I wish I would have had more of those moments with my kids. Now that they are 26, 24, and 22, I do have fond memories of them. My favorite memory of my son is him being probably 7 or 8, probably about Lorelai's age. We were pulling up, and his sisters were spending the night at my mom's house. He said, "Mom, don't get out of the car yet." And he ran out and opened up my car door, took me by the hand, started dancing with me under the stars.
Aww.
And he was singing "It's a Wonderful World," and it made me cry. And those are the memories I have forever. They're so sweet. But I don't have those crazy ones that you have, like my oldest
threatening my friends.
Yeah, my oldest is quiet, and then my youngest is going to change the world.
It's very good to be aspirational.
Yeah.
I mean, if you shoot for here, and even if you don't make it, you still might hit here, but it's all better than being way down here.
Yeah, I know I said I didn't want to talk about my kids, but they are amazing
You didn't want to
kids.
name them, right? You didn't want to name them just for, that's fine. And and when I ask for people for, like the servers and bartenders, I'm like, you know what? Give me some dirt, but you don't have to name names because we all know a lot of the same people.
Well, because my youngest literally wants to be president. I mean, she interned in the White House in the summer. She's in Washington, D.C. right now on her spring break doing interviews for internships.
It's very aspirational for sure.
Yeah, she's president of MSU Student Senate.
Might be a good person to have on the podcast someday because I might have a few words of wisdom to bestow upon her.
Oh.
I have
She's very vocal. I don't think she would sit through it.
Well, I mean,
she's very
and you want to be a leader, you have to listen. And you really need to listen to those around you, and you should be taking advice from the people that are smarter than you. And I think that's what a good leader should do. Leadership is something I've studied, and it's a weird thing to even say, but I learned a lot of that through Simon Sinek, and he's one of the absolute best speakers on leadership. Mm-hmm. And I've taken what I've learned from him and I've applied it to, okay, if I'm going to pick a job, I need to figure out who the leadership is and what their goals and what their vision is, and are they really trying to follow that, and how do they treat their people? Because a good leader is going to treat their people like a good alpha male would, right? Everyone's in your charge. You take care of them. And then a good leader is going to go at the danger head on. Mm-hmm. He's going to lead by going at it for head on, go for it, and the followers will come. Yeah. A bad leader is going to go take that on while they go run. And that's not what a good leader does. So it's leadership is like that. It's, being a good alpha. Whether you're alpha male, alpha female, it doesn't matter. You're taking care of people in your charge.
Yeah.
And you're going to listen to the counsel of wisdom around you. You're going to surround yourself with really smart people in every category. And hopefully they're not corrupt by political organizations. Not political, corporate organizations.
She already sees the corruption.
Of course.
After a week in Washington.
I'm sure.
After a week in Washington, she called me and she's just like, "You're right. It's nothing like I thought it was. And there's a bunch of kids running our country. Bunch of kids."
Yeah. Yeah, Google and Facebook and...
Conspiracy?
It's only a conspiracy.
Where's the helmet?
It's right behind you. You want to throw the conspiracy helmet on? Go on. It's conspiracy time. She's going to do it. She made fun of me for even making it.
All right. So, if you need for him to get rid of the helmet, comment down below. Please comment below to get rid of the helmet.
If we're going to talk conspiracy theories, we need our foil hats. We really do. I mean...
See, but it's not conspiracy when I've seen it firsthand, seen fact.
Oh, no. A lot of things start out as a theory, but when they become
what's crazy is a couple weeks there, she's told to write a paper for a congressperson. I'm not going to even mention who it was. And she did, and the next day it ended up on Google as a fact. My 22-year-old daughter's opinion ended up as a fact on Google. Saying that a congressperson out of Washington, D.C. had wrote this.
Sounds a little too loosey-goosey, especially for bureaucracy. But our tech companies don't operate like that. And our tech companies are very influential and very powerful with money. And they can push things around like that. Especially when you're dealing with the search engines. I really would like to get to a point, and this really isn't a knock against Google. I use it all the time, but I think if the podcast grows, I would like to have, kind of like Joe Rogan has his Jamie, the guy's off-site or off camera, and he's operating stuff and he puts it up here to do searches on things that we talk about and discuss. But I would like that to be one of the search engines that are not influenced by the big tech companies. There's a few of them out there. I don't know the names offhand, but I'd prefer it come from those sources because it's less corrupted or coerced into certain directions. But politics is something I veer away from, but I will talk about ideologies and influences and stuff like that. And I think those things are pushing a lot of people in certain directions. And
well, if you want to stay away from politics, then my daughter's not one to be on your podcast.
You could talk about political ideologies. That's where I'd like to swing the bat there and see how many I can knock out of the park. Because I really think that all too many people, and I make the statement a lot that I don't like people, I do like individuals. And the reason I say that is people tend to follow the crowd very quickly. And a political ideology, in my mind, is no different than a religion. You go before someone and they basically tell you what to think, and you don't stray from that. If you do, you tend to get kicked out and kicked to the outside, and called names and ostracized and made to feel horrible for having a thought that strays from that pattern. Political ideologies have been doing that for a long time now, and it's getting worse, and you can see it on social media when people get canceled for saying something that's outside of their norm. And a lot of times these people are just stating facts, and they're stating things that are actually factually true, and well, it doesn't jive with way we think, so you are gone. And most people will fall in line, while others will tend to stray. But I think more people need to think on their own, think critically, and not deal with ideologies like that think for them.
What are your deal breakers for dating someone in your 40s?
Deal breakers?
What if someone had a totally different political view?
Well, I don't have a political view. I don't like any of them, honestly. If someone was very hard-lined and was...
Religious views. I know you and I are very different on that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
if someone's
were
not
brought up-
open-minded.
You were brought up Catholic, and I am Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And you are not that way now.
No, very agnostic. I feel very much the same way George Carlin felt. I was raised Catholic till I reached the age of reason, and I've thought my way out of it. And I thought my way out of it because when I was in those Catholic schools, getting fed religion, 6 days a week, 5 days in school, and then once on Sunday.
Catechism.
I was actually in church. I actually went to church every Sunday. Ugh. And Catholic church is so boring and droning on, and other Christian institutions tend to deal with children a little bit better. They actually have things for kids, but they do the same thing in the sense they grab a child early and pull in their and try to feed them their ideology at a very young age, and I think that's a horrible thing to do.
Yeah, I am young. I had to do the whole Catholic thing, the whole catechism, First Communion, everything. As I got older, I still believe in God, I believe in Jesus, all that other stuff, but it's more Christian based and not so much Catholicism. I'm not into the sit, stand, pray, the very, very strict rules of being Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Which even the Catholic Church has been lightening up on that.
They have.
And they have to, otherwise they will die. And that is called evolution.
My mom was married more than once. And she was not allowed to get married the second time in the Catholic Church.
And my mother as well.
I will never forget them denying her communion in front of me because she had been divorced.
How dare you?
That's horrible. Jesus would not...
Yeah.
He wouldn't do that to you. So what makes the priest able to do that?
You better than your founder, right?
Yeah.
I had lots of questions as a kid growing up, and I got some very horrible answers from nuns and people in that clergy, and I just thought it was awful, and it made me just want to back away from it and stay away from it as much as possible. And my curiosities has led me elsewhere. I will talk about like Norse mythology. I had a podcast with Johnny Pat on that, and he and I both looked into that. He kind of believes in some of that stuff. I once again am very agnostic with it. I just like the old stories. But there's something in those old stories that harken back to a time where men had to act a certain way, and it was a very honorable way to act. We have these thoughts of Norse being a Viking, Vikings as being these pirating type raiders that just rape, pillage, and plunder everything. That's only one.
Are we going to talk about Vikings now?
Maybe.
No, we're not.
Only one part of their culture, but they have a system of beliefs that were handed down from their gods that were very much in line with kind of the way I just always felt and thought. I mean, Christianity is like someone smacks you, you turn the other cheek. In the old Norse, if someone smacks you, you smack them back. There's a difference, and I never felt that way. I took karate in my teens, and there was something that just turned on when someone actually struck me in the face. It would just turn out like, oh, it's on, and it was just a different me there.
So what are your deal breakers?
Back to that question. Locked ideologies. Someone who's not open-minded. That would be a deal breaker. If you're like this way or no way, I'm like, you don't even want to talk about it? Nope. And we're not going to talk anymore. And I have no problem walking away from that. If someone's more open-minded and will listen to you and hear you out, whether I change their mind or not, that's more workable. We can talk about that. And we can always agree to disagree. And I'm okay with that. So someone who's
me shooting you down about talking about Vikings just now, but I've listened to you talk about Vikings many
it's a fun
times.
topic. It's a fun topic.
To you?
Okay. It's something I nerd out on, right? And it's one of many subjects I nerd out on. Would you like me to talk about engines, internal combustion engines, and the intricacies of that, and cars, hot rodding, stuff like that?
How about clothes?
See, I'm gonna like.
I have a whole room in my house dedicated to my clothes.
I'm so fashionable with my t-shirts, right? I mean,
I like
I'm a
t-shirts.
I'm a t-shirt and jeans kind of guy. That's just me. I mean, you are a very fashionable person, and I like your style. It looks great. You put stuff together and it looks awesome. I'm like, you look amazing.
Thank you.
And I'm like, wow.
And I think you look amazing.
Well, thank you, because I feel like a kind of a dumpy guy. It's like, what I got to dress up around this woman. Oh, I don't know how to act.
I think you look amazing all the time.
Well, thank you. Aw, I try. I try not to look bad. It's like owning a house in a neighborhood. I just don't want to be that guy with the really crummy lawn.
Oh, jeez.
As long as my yard is not the worst in the block, I'm okay. It's just kind of, that's a low bar to keep things, but that's me with fashion, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Just don't be the lowest on the block. Don't show up with a dirty t-shirt.
So do you work out on a regular basis? Because you look
I
like...
wish I'd worked out more often. I don't, but I try to work out a couple times a week, lift some weights, do some of the cardio. Hockey is a way to stay in shape too.
My first impressions of you, do you want to hear them?
Sure.
Okay. I was very much attracted to you. I think you have an amazing chest and arms, and that's what I'm into. And you have blue eyes. Everyone I've ever been with has blue eyes for some odd reason, and I don't know why.
It's a rarity.
I know. So yeah, I was attracted right away. And you're well spoken for the most part.
Until I say something stupid.
Yeah.
Aw, well, thank you very much.
Your first impression of me.
Someone who's got a lot of style, looks very good. You have a very elegant look to you.
Well, my idol is Audrey Hepburn.
So yeah, I think you would get along well with my mother. I mean, my mother was always very well put together, very well dressed all the time. And maybe part of that's a Catholic upbringing and always have putting your best foot forward, going to church and stuff like that. And yeah, and the whole keeping the house clean. What will people think when someone comes over?
Yeah, I'm
scarred for life, mother.
I'm afraid someone's gonna walk into my house at any moment and something be out of place.
Even if it's a person coming to kill you, you want to make sure the house looks nice.
Exactly. Because when they find your body,
the chalk outline can go on nice and clean.
When they find your body and you end up on Dateline, so they're gonna see the inside of your house. And it has to be okay.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, okay, let's go back to when I got in the car with a stranger. He was probably going to kill me. Dateline was going to show up at my house. When they came in, I've had stuff.
What if this guy was turning a leaf? What if this guy he got out of jail and it's like, oh, I'm going to reform now? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to play the other side of the card, not doing it well, but go ahead. So he's going to kill you.
Yeah, probably. Probably. But it's all good. Made out of it alive. Learned my lesson.
Made out okay.
Yeah.
Obviously you survived. Aw.
So, like, have you dated a lot since your divorce?
Tons.
Really? For real?
No.
No.
Dated a few women. Probably most of them just last a few months at a time. I dated one person for a little over a year. And it just wasn't going to work. And we just called it off. And that was it. And yeah. That's really about it. Nothing too crazy, nothing too serious. I always had that rule of not introducing anyone to my children, and I would say in the 5 years I've dated off and on, you're only the third person to meet my children. And I kind of bent that rule a little bit. It's like, you seem really cool, and I can tell by the music you listen to, it's just like my daughter's music.
I know. Her and I, we jammed some Taylor Swift, let me tell you. They hadn't Sia. She's like, but I like Sia. I'm like, me too. Let's jam some Sia.
So you got the musical taste of 11-year-old. Sorry, just tease you a little bit.
You like that heavy metal, head-banging,
I always have.
Screamo.
Some very heavy stuff to some light hard rock kind of stuff. Yeah, like rock and blues, and there's some variety within different genres of hard rock and metal. But mainly just those two. I appreciate talent. I appreciate guys that can actually play instruments, guys that can have singing voices, even women that have singing voices. Yeah. There's a lot of really talented female rock singers.
You've heard me sing karaoke.
Yeah, you do a pretty good job. And I don't like karaoke.
It wasn't good.
Better than most I've heard, which, you know
what?
once again, a low bar, but I mean,
I'm
it's
not
karaoke.
afraid to make a fool of myself. I'm just not.
That's good. That actually shows confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
I agree with that. That's good.
Yeah. Yippers.
So, anywhere else you want to go with this conversation, or are we? Are you winding down? Or do you want
I think we're winding down. I think we tested out the new mic.
Test out the new mic, new configuration. Hope everything sounds good. And
if it doesn't, it's all his fault.
It's all my fault. Even though she's a sound person. Yeah, no. Good conversation, good talk. And Freely, I will have you back here once again.
Yeah, I can be the Robin to your Howard Stern.
Okay. And I'm sure you could really banter back and forth with Johnny Pat.
Oh, boy.
It'd
That's another thing.
Uh-oh. No, we're not done yet.
No, we're not done yet. So a comment was made on this podcast.
Can of worms. Sure.
About making sandwiches.
Back to the sandwich.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a sandwich on the logo.
Women make the best damn sandwiches ever. That's where that came from.
Women do make the best damn sandwiches ever.
They do. Mm-hmm. And men are lucky if they get my sandwich.
Someday I'll have a sandwich.
Maybe one day. Just not anytime soon.
To defend that standpoint, he was really making it's all about appreciation, showing appreciation for one's hard work, and then returning the favor as well.
Yes, as long as it is give and take.
Mm-hmm. And he did mention shortly after that, sure, baby, I'll rub your feet.
Oh my God, yes.
See, there you go.
See, and
that's a fair trade, right?
I remember him.
Sandwich for a foot rub?
Yeah. Well, even putting, he had mentioned that his grandfather put gas in his grandmother's car her entire life.
Right.
And that's just the sweetest thing.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's really where he was going with it.
And if I had a man that did that, you would have a sandwich waiting for you the moment you got home.
See, guys, it's that simple, right?
Put gas in my car.
Take care of your woman. And that's all about being a real masculine man, too. Taking care of your woman, and she'll take care of you. And that's a fair trade. And I think that's a good place to stop, actually.
Yeah.
Take care of each other, and then it'll come back around.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Really? Thanks for coming. And we'll have you around again.
Alrighty.
That's pub wisdom. Be sure to tip your servers.